This episode of the GameOverGreggy Show is brought to you by Kinda Funny, the animated series. It's our new thing, and we're trying to do 12 episodes, one a month, and we need your support. Please head over to patreon.com/kindafunny and toss us a few bucks to make it a reality. All the money raised in January goes towards this. So if you've never supported us on Patreon, come over, give us $1, and when they take the money at the end of the month, go away. Just leave us alone. Don't worry. You keep watching it for free. Have a good life. Thanks for nothing. Except the $1 in January that hopefully made the whole... You know what I mean. Nick.
Yes, sir.
What's your topic?
My topic, it's that time again, Greg. You know, Colin has his sports. You have your sports. Tim has his YouTube videos. I don't have much in this life.
You don't, except a beautiful wife, a successful business.
Yeah, no, that doesn't matter. Kevin. But, that didn't go very far. Oh, it's right there, not Kevin.
Just talking to Mike.
So, you know, I don't have a lot of hobbies. I never really played sports growing up, but I do love movies. And it's that time again. It's the Academy Awards season. And I want to talk to you guys specifically about the Academy Awards and the Best Picture nominations. Not expecting you guys to have seen these, but I'm interested to run down the list and see if you've even heard of some of these movies.
Sure.
So I'll start. Hold on.
Big fan of lists.
Old Colin.
Oh, hold on.
Yes. Okay. All right. Jesus God, Greg.
Well, they're good. They're not bad. Just don't look through them.
All right. So the Oscar nominations came out. I have no idea when. I'm assuming it was sometime.
It was yesterday.
Great.
At the time
this is his Super Bowl.
This is my Super Bowl. No, my wife texted me today. She's like, my wife actually texted me and she said she's seen all the movies on this list except for Mad Max.
Holy shit, really?
Which, yeah, it was just, she's like, I guess I have to watch it now. I'm like, yes. It's on HBO. But I want to run down these real quickly and see if you guys have A, heard of them, and B, seen them.
How many of these are available on the back of Virgin America flight seats?
I think probably at this point, maybe 5 of them, maybe half.
Okay.
I would say. Starting off, The Big Short. Have you even heard of this
I've
movie?
heard of it for sure. It's
Big
the one.
Short.
It's out in theaters right now.
It's on theaters right now.
I don't want to. I'm not cheating.
Don't cheat. Don't look.
Christian Bale's in it.
Correct.
He smiles really goofy in it, and I've seen that GIF a lot getting kicked around. And is that an outtake or is that from the movie, Kev? Kev doesn't know. Steve Carell's in it. He's wearing like some kind of facial makeup stuff. Not like he was in Foxcatcher, but he's got something going on. I thought somebody in this movie looks different than they're themselves.
There's another big star in this.
Chevy Chase.
Chevy Chase
is in fact not in this. It's
Who's in
actually
it?
Brad Pitt.
Oh, Mizzou's own Brad Pitt
is in this. And this was a fascinating one because it came out. It's one of those that I feel like they snuck in right at the end of the year, so that and they do this a lot with indies where they're like, we don't have a huge marketing budget, so we need to get it in right at the end of the year so it's fresh in everyone in the Academy's brain when they go to vote.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen it, but it's supposed to be really, really good. It's about a group of guys that figured out they projected the mortgage crisis that was going to happen, and they bet against it. And they won. They made a shit ton of money, apparently, by forecasting the fact that the entire market was going to crash. That was pretty fascinating.
It sounds good. I like the cast. Like, it's one of those I've seen at least something for trailers, and I'm like, oh, that looks interesting, but I'm just, me.
Yeah.
I'm not motivated to get out to the theater.
Write it down. The Big Short.
We could all go together. We could do a movie.
We could. I would actually love to see that. I'd love to see all of these. I've seen half of them, I think. Maybe, no, 3/4.
What, Kevin? Why?
Did we actually do it? Because I really want to watch
Last time I did, you all bailed on me, so I don't know. Could we actually do it? It's a great question.
Gia's about to leave, too. That's the last time you did it. Gia left. And
Gia.
I had to go to her stupid bye thing.
You didn't have to. You'd seen her a lot. You guys go out on double dates all the time. I wanted a little bit of time with you. I couldn't even get it.
Have we ever gone on a double date?
I have a strict no double date rule with Kevin.
So, you.
Is that because he gets too...
Did you bleep yourself?
Tonguey?
Yeah, I did.
Huh?
All right, back to it.
He does get tonguey, yeah.
Next one on the list, Bridge of Spies. This is the... You guys familiar with this one at all?
Nope. I know it. I've heard of the title.
Sure.
Whenever I hear the title, it reminds me of Man from U.N.C.L.E. that has Superman in it. And I'm always like, I should see Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Man from U.N.C.L.E. is actually fun.
Okay.
Not
Did
good
you
by
watch
any
it?
stretch of the imagination, but fun. Yeah.
The trailers for it came out of nowhere for me. I had no idea what it was, but every time they were on, I'm like, that looks cool.
Man from U.N.C.L.E.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a fun movie. That's as best as you can say for it. I don't
Bridge
think
of
they
Spies-
were trying to be anything more than that.
Bridge of Spies sounds familiar. And did somebody is this like a Spielberg or a
This is a Spielberg
Zemeckis?
film.
No, okay.
This is a Steven Spielberg
Greg's
film.
killing it.
It is.
I just I'm killing it with like bits of information.
I don't got shit.
I can't tell anybody in the movie.
no one. Can't pull anyone from the movie.
No.
John Candy.
John Candy.
Been dead for a while.
It's digital
Been dead for a
representations of
good solid 15 years. I think.
John
Died in the
Candy
late
and Tupac.
90s. Tupac also dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, hologram.
Is
Is
it
it-
Bridge of Spies?
is it-
No.
Is it
It's a go-to for Steven Spielberg. It's one of his boys.
Tom Hanks?
Yes, it is the Tom Hanks film.
I like Tom Hanks though.
And this is a film that I actually recently saw and liked, largely because of the way it was shot. It was beautifully shot.
3D.
But it is about Colin. You would be interested in this. When the U-2 spy plane went down, and the Russians got the pilot, this guy, Tom Hanks' character,
Gary Powers, I think his name
yeah,
is.
Tom Hanks' character was brought in to negotiate the trade of him versus a Russian spy that they found in New York.
Over the bridge.
Over, well, actually, it was literally over a bridge. It was,
Yes.
it was at Checkpoint Charlie.
Bridge of Spies.
Bridge of Spies. Cool. I would actually love to hear.
So far, you could just Google
Yeah,
Academy Awards Best Picture nominees. You don't need to list it all.
would love to hear your perspective on it because it's based on true events, but they always say based on true events, so you never really know how much of it is actually true.
And
I'm
this
sure
is
it
the one
happened.
where the guy says, "Look at me, I'm the captain now." To Tom Hanks, right?
That's exactly not the right one. That was last year's Captain Phillips. But thank
my
you.
apologies.
And it was more like this. I'm the captain now. That's how it went.
I've never been great with any other dialect than the UK, so I can't help you.
But you nailed the UK dialect.
Oh,
There it is.
look at me, governor. Me be the captain now.
Beautifully done.
What?
Me be the captain now.
Me be the captain now? Who said that? Blackbeard?
British people. No, this is like right now. If Kevin McDonald walked in and we
Some
asked
sort
her
of
to say the
privateer?
line from Bridge of Spies, she'd say that.
Next on the list.
Okay.
Brooklyn.
Zero information.
Zero information.
Oh wait. Oh no.
Andy Samberg.
Brooklyn. I did remember seeing a trailer for this.
Right.
She is a woman who immigrates over,
Irish immigrant. Yeah, I
Thank
believe
you.
it was Irish immigrant.
and an Italian guy falls in love with her, and they go dancing. There's a lot of dancing in the trailer.
I haven't seen it, but that is my understanding of it. Yes.
Okay.
And I think, and looking it up on IMDb, it's written by Nick Hornby.
Is Jay-Z involved at all?
It's a period.
Not that I know of.
He
It's
did
a period
something.
piece.
He did something recently where he did music for some movie, and Brooklyn sounds appropriate.
You might be thinking The Great Gatsby because I think he did a track
He
for
did
The
a
Great
lot of
Gatsby.
that. He did.
It's
executive
possible.
produced
It's
that.
possible they did with this.
Maybe.
I have not seen this movie. I'm not very familiar with it, but it's the main character is Saoirse Ronan, who you've probably seen in a bunch of stuff.
CeCe Ronan.
That woman?
I think it's called pronounced
Wait,
Saoirse.
click on her name and
Seriously.
read me her IMDb credits
She
here.
fucks her brother.
Wow.
You went there. We were all
did.
thinking it.
I did.
Spoilers for Game of Thrones season 1.
The only one I
Episode
really, really
Episode
kind of.
1.
I don't remember.
You probably wouldn't know her from any of these.
I
The
could-
only thing I would really know her from was Hannah. It was a movie she did with Eric Bana, but it was like a
That's a palindrome.
kind of came. Hannah.
Hannah,
Depends on how you spell
Bobana,
it.
banana, Vanna, Fofana.
I guess you're right.
Oh yeah, I never thought about that. Hannah is a palindrome. I never thought about that in my
The
life.
name,
Depends on how you spell it.
this movie does not have an
H-A-N-N-A-H?
H at the end of it.
No H at the end of this one.
No, and
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry, guys. All right, moving on.
Like Hanna Barbera.
Next
Yeah.
film, Mad Max, Fury Road.
Great movie.
Saw it.
Great movie. What'd you think?
I liked it.
You liked it? I really want this to win.
Okay.
Out of all the movies on this list, I feel like it should win. I would be happy if another one of them won, but we're getting to that.
What
shortly.
happened with George
It's cool
Miller?
that it's there.
George Miller's saying that he doesn't want to do another one now.
I don't know.
It's pissing me off. They were
There was
supposed to
an
do a
update
trilogy
today. Did you see the update today?
No.
And he's like, I still don't want to do it.
Hold on.
Fuck Australia.
I don't know.
Yeah, he was talking about how fucking much of a pain in the ass it was to make it and stuff, and how they were ready to go in 2010, and then it got all fucked up.
Yeah, that one was. There's a lot of history behind how hard that movie was to make, and it's unfortunate.
But he was complaining. The one thing that bothered me, he was complaining, he's like the 27-hour trip to Australia over and over again. And I'm like, George Miller, you fly first class in probably a sleeper fucking bed. I would do that flight as many times as I needed to make my $200 million film if I didn't have to sit and fucking coach.
Just throwing it out there, though. I love the historical accuracy of basing the trilogy, the series in Australia, because that's where the rest of them were shot. Could easily film in California, probably. Could easily find a desert somewhere in America where you could just film, or anywhere
Where we're free.
Really doesn't have to.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I thought that they did. I thought that they did film it somewhere else too. But he talked about that in the New York Post page 6 article. That I read.
So over at IGN, Alex Osborne writes an article saying, despite prior reports claiming George Miller's done making Mad Max movies, the Fury Road director says he still has more planned for the franchise. Miller told The Wrap he was misquoted in a recent interview after traveling for 27 hours, calling it a, quote, completely garbled interview in which the journalist got the wrong fragments of information that were just not true. I said, no, another Mad Max movie will not be next. And she took that to mean I never wanted to make another Mad Max. It won't necessarily be next, but I have 2 more stories.
Good.
Good. You
So there
better
you go.
fucking tell him,
He's gonna tell him.
George.
He'll tell him.
Go get a monkey.
Next up on the list for Best Picture, The Martian.
I
Which,
enjoyed
Colin,
The
I
Martian.
know you have some lukewarm thoughts on.
Yeah, it was
You're
fine.
a big
it was
fan
fine.
of the book.
Yeah, the book is far superior, and this is what I was talking about with a good corollary to this is The Road with Cormac McCarthy's The Road, and then the movie. And I think the movie was fantastic. The movie captured. It's not as good as the book, but the movie captured the essence of Cormac McCarthy's dark, dire road, story about the end of the world and how there's no hope. It's over, and it's over. That's what I love about it. Like, there's no hope. It's done.
Right.
And
Very Cormac.
yeah, and like it's awesome, and God, I love that book so much. But I felt like when the movie came out with Viggo Mortensen or whatever, I was like, that's a fucking really great movie. It's like you should read the book. You don't necessarily have to, because this kind of does capture the essence of the cannibals and the road warriors that are kind of like just destroying people and just kidnapping them and leaving them in basements and eating them alive and shit like that. And I don't know, it's like it captured the post-apocalyptic United States, and I love how they didn't say what happened to the world, and even in the movie, which would have been like a convenient plot point. They don't say it in the book either. It's implied that it's a natural disaster, like a catastrophe, that like volcanic eruptions or earthquakes or something that just destroys the planet, as opposed to nuclear war or something.
Right.
But with The Martian, I saw The Martian. Aaron and I watched it over Christmas break, and I was excited to see it, and I was a little disappointed. And I'm like, why is everyone so crazy about this? This isn't nearly as good as the book. So it's one of those situations where it's just the nature of a movie where it has to rush along. But I saw it, I'm like, this doesn't capture the essence of the book at all.
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't impressive at all. I actually thought the casting was good, the acting was fine, but Dr. Watney was played very well.
You had one criticism of it, which I thought was really, really valid and kind of perfectly summarized, which you were like, it doesn't capture his emotional like state of how long he was there and like how lonely he was. And I think that like they tried to, but they masked it with humor, where it was like, oh, he's going to stay in good spirits by saying these quippy lines. But you kind of put it in perspective for me. You're like, he was there a really fucking long time, and you don't really get an understanding of that in the movie.
Yeah, he's alone, and like it's maybe impossible to capture the essence in my mind of he's there for a very long time, but he's also there for a very long time in which he cannot speak to anyone. And I'm not talking about like not being around people. He has no contact with anyone. There's no way for him to talk to anyone.
Right.
So it just doesn't, like, the book really goes on and on about like his mental state, and he does use a lot of humor. The book is funny in some ways because that's like how he keeps himself straight, but they go into little things like where he keeps listening to disco because that's all he has access to, and they do go into that a little bit. But like there's other things like where all he has is like Three's Company and Happy Days to watch and shit like that, and like he just watches this shit over and over again. Like there's these things where it's like this is all he only has access to like 1970s entertainment. He's totally alone. He has no access to books or no access to learning of any kind. He's just by himself, and you feel bad for Mark Watney in that book because he was left for dead on this planet, and they never really captured the essence of his own struggle with that. He always forgave them, as he did in the movie, like immediately understanding that there was a sandstorm and they had to get the hell out of there, and they thought he was dead. His suit was punctured, so the pressure should have killed him anyway,
Right.
Or the lack thereof. But yeah, I was finished watching the movie and I was like, that was not very good. Like I don't see how this is best anything material, and I'm wondering if it's just being devoid of the context of Andy Weir's book, which came out several years ago. So maybe a lot of people didn't read it and they just went and saw the movie, which I respect. Maybe I would have liked it more if I just didn't know that the book was way fucking better.
Because for me, there is that part, like, and granted, like, I mean, you've talked about it before, and I was paying, but I'm as a moviegoer who hasn't read the book, I'm paying attention to the day count, and when he gets shot out of the pull of Mars, or is about to, and finally gets to talk, there's a great reaction from Matt Damon where he gets choked up and he leans back and starts crying, and then he responds. And for me, I was like, oh, right, this is the first time he talked to anybody. You know what I mean? Like, I got that part out of it. For me, I liked it better than Mad Max, but this is, again, where we start getting into favoritism versus critiquing something, whereas I think Mad Max is probably a more put-together film and special effects and this, that, and the other, but, like, I enjoyed the movie way more. But it's my own selfish, I like that kind of story more.
And it's not that I don't think The Martian's a bad movie, or that I think Martian's a bad movie. I just don't think it's like a good or great movie. I think it's fine. It's the same way I felt, frankly, about Hateful Eight, where it was like, where I'm like, this movie's fine. I'm like,
Is Hateful Eight on the list?
No.
So
now technically, I don't know if that's because it wasn't
qualified
released
or not.
in.
Yeah.
in
well, it must.
like,
The Revenant is is nominated, isn't it? That came out
The
after
Revenant
Hateful Eight.
is nominated. Yeah, that's the next on the list. So
But is
That's
that some
weird.
weird? They put it in limited release somewhere.
it's a
da-da-da?
possibility. I don't know. I didn't see it until it came out in wide spread release about a week ago. No, last Friday, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It may have been. I mean, it also. I don't think Hateful Eight would have gotten nominated.
Shut all.
It's not for Best Picture, I don't think. I mean,
Well,
I don't
actually,
think it was
Hateful Eight
Best
definitely
Picture.
is in the nomination because Best Supporting Actress is from Hateful
there
Eight.
you
She
go.
was
Good
nominated.
call.
The woman.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's weird. I definitely would think you'd get
Yep,
nominated.
there it is.
Jennifer Jason Leigh. There you go. So yeah, so it made the categories. So yeah, it must have. It just didn't.
You're not
What
talking
is
into
this?
the microphone.
Kevin just went like this. Nick,
No, this is the mic. I'm shoving it
you
in
put
your
it
mouth.
on. You went like this, like that.
That's Greg's move, Kevin.
picture of you.
That's not Nick's
There
move.
you go. Don't do fucking Greg's move.
Kevin, you can do
God, that's great though. George Miller got nominated for Best Director for Mad Max, which is awesome, and that doesn't always happen, which is cool to see.
Well, who will? Well, so wait. I mean, out of Best Picture,
We're still
There's a couple
going.
more.
We're still
Oh, okay.
going.
So the next one on the list is The Revenant. Now, The Revenant, I don't think any of you guys have seen yet.
I want to see.
I
it.
really
I
wanna
don't
see
want
it,
to
yeah.
spoil it, and it's just out, so I won't say too much about it. But it does. It's one of those films that I think leaves you with a lasting impression. Unlike, like for me, it was the same as Fury Road, where I'm like, that was something different that I haven't seen in a really long time. The Revenant is very much on that list where you're like, this is a fucking like experience. It is a brutal assault to every sense, minus smell, of course, and touch. Probably just the visual
Depends on
and
who's
audio.
next to you.
There you go. That's true. But I'd be really interested to see what you guys think of The Revenant, because it is something very unique and very different. You may not like it, but you got to give it credit for being what it is, which is.
I think I'm gonna love it.
You're gonna love it.
It's not only the setting, only the period piece kind of historicity of it, but also like I just remember seeing the trailer and being like, this is beautifully shot. This is I love snow and alpine like kind of shit and pine trees and wilderness and like Wild West kind of shit. Like I just like all of that kind of stuff put together. It was actually one of the things that was cool about Hateful Eight, which is it had all of that as well.
Mhm.
Well, the production behind this was, it made a lot of waves in the industry because it was a very, very hard shoot. He wanted to shoot specifically like a lot of it, or if not all of it, during magic hour, which was is a very, very hard thing to do for a film because you basically are only shooting for 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
A lot of his crew was, the circumstances behind it were really, really hard. They were actually shooting out there. There was not a lot of support.
Didn't DiCaprio have to have like SAG step in or something?
The
'Cause he
unions
was
did
getting,
get
like,
involved
yeah.
because they were like, you are kind of mistreating your people here. But Alejandro Inarritu was like, well, I'm going to do it anyway. And apparently rubbing it the wrong way at the studios. But I have to say, as much as all that sounds terrible, it does show in the movie. Like you do
Feel their struggle.
You feel it when you watch this, like how hard it would have been for those people to live and exist back then, and how hard they would have had to fight for survival in every single aspect of life.
Gotcha.
Every single aspect.
Gotcha.
It's pretty cool. It's definitely, I recommend that definitely to anyone
Yeah, I need to watch it.
who was a fan of cinema. Next up on the list is Room. Are you familiar with this at all?
No idea what this is.
Room.
Room.
Nah.
You're writing Room down too?
No, The Revenant.
Okay.
You got it right. Yeah. I would say that's first and foremost.
I think
Put
I'm gonna see it
Batman
this weekend.
v Superman on there too. It's coming
Yeah.
out soon.
I'm gonna.
I'm surprised Furious 7's not on this list. Maybe it'll come up.
What is Room? Tell me about Room. I don't know what Room is.
Movie starring Brie Larson, who was she was in Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Okay.
She was also in
She's not the
21
newsroom girl, is she?
21 Jump Street. She was the cute girl the love interest for Jonah Hill. I'll bring up a picture of her.
She was Envy Adams
I think
in Scott Pilgrim, the singer.
Show me a photo. We have the internet right here.
We do. I'm going to show you a photo of her right now.
Oh, this girl.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I can see why this is a struggle. Though.
Yeah. I mean, she
was on The Office too, wasn't she? Or am I thinking of another show? she was on?
she looks like Jenna. What's her name?
No. I know
That's
it's not Pam.
That's what
I
I
know
looked
it's
at
not
her.
Pam.
That she looks
There's
like her.
some show where she was on with
me.
big black glasses and a hair and a ponytail, and she started dating one of the main characters at the end, and then kind of like dropped out. But I don't watch that many shows.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. The League, maybe?
No, I don't watch the League.
No.
You keep going and tell us what the room is. I'll find out what I know. Community. There she was. Abed's girlfriend.
Abed's girlfriend.
There you go.
Thanks. What's the room about?
Room is an indie.
Okay.
I had this is another one I have not seen, but
Okay.
my wife really, really liked it. And
Finnegan was telling me
a
about
lot of
this one.
people are saying that she's probably. I'm pretty sure she was nominated. Before I misspeak, let me look. Yeah, she's nominated for Best Actress. So a lot of people are saying she's definitely going to win.
Okay.
And looking through this, I haven't seen Brooklyn, but I've seen I don't know what 45.
She was
years
also
is.
in Trainwreck.
I can't imagine.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, she played the sister.
Yeah.
Yeah. The story is about a mother and son who are basically forced to live in a room by someone for like 5 years.
Oh wow.
So all the kid knows is this room, and it's about how she has to basically create this world for her child to shield him from this horrible situation. they're in.
Jesus.
And like what happens when they get out, and so like it's just based on that
Is
alone.
it
I'm like,
it's
fuck.
out? You can go see it?
Yeah, you can go see it. It's been out for a while.
Colin, put it on the list.
No,
So it's
can't do it.
Yeah, my wife came back from seeing that. That's another one where she kind of saw it by herself, and she was like, it's really intense. Apparently,
Is it on Virgin America yet?
probably. Yeah, I'll check.
Amazon Prime?
If only there were a way to check what's on Virgin America right now.
I'm on
We
it.
don't know.
Open up my Red Entertainment System app.
Rounding out the list is Spotlight, and this is a movie I have seen. Are you familiar with this at all?
No.
Not to be confused with The Big Short, because they sound very similar.
Do they?
I don't know.
Okay.
They both sound like indie films that no one's seen.
No, I don't know anything about Spotlight.
Michael Keaton, Mark Ruffalo.
What? Batman and Hulk in one movie?
It's true. Follows the story of the Boston Globe, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
the
the Catholic Church.
Yeah, the expose they wrote on
I
the
wanna see
Catholic
that too.
Church
What is that
and-
one
and the Spotlight.
Spotlight.
Which is really, really cool. Really, really cool film. It's big ensemble cast, and it just follows the story of how they basically uncovered the Catholic Church's conspiracy that was going on with priests molesting young children, and how it was supposed to be. It starts as sort of an isolated incident, and then throughout the course of the story, they've been covering it up in a lot of different areas for a really long time. So
Gotcha.
it's pretty crazy. What's up, Ken?
The Room is not on it.
No.
Thank you very much.
It's Room, not
It's
the
a-
Room,
it's
just
Yes,
Room.
not the
Room.
Rum.
There is a movie called The Room that everyone. Yeah, that's like an indie.
Yeah, that's like the one that's like the cult thing, right?
Yeah.
Cult
I
classic.
haven't seen that either. So anyway, looking at this list,
Yeah.
it's always fascinating to me because they always, I've been a fan of I've been watching the Academy Awards since I can remember, and it's always dawned on me that I'm like, I know these are good films, and the Academy Awards is probably one of the only award shows that tries to have some level of credibility left.
Prestige.
Prestige.
What the Game Awards?
Well, there's the Game Awards.
Trending Game
Jeff Keighley
Esport
clearly makes great.
Esport champion
Esports
2016.
champion,
But the Golden Globes just happened, and they let the Martian get best picture, best comedy, and it was like, what the fuck are you doing there?
Yeah.
But the Academy Awards I look forward to, and it's actually fun for me to go through this list and realize the ones that I haven't seen, and the ones that I want to see. I probably won't see Brooklyn, but I do want to see The Big Short, and I do want to see Room.
I want to see most of these movies.
Yeah.
You do a good job of selling them. They should hire you to introduce the list and talk about them.
Well, I'd love to
Okay.
like host the Academy Awards.
No, just like
You want me
do
to
a
host the
video.
Academy,
Just do
Craig? That's awesome. I'll do it.
so many cocaine jokes.
There's so many.
I'm honestly shocked that Hateful Eight's not on that list.
You liked
Even
Hateful Eight
nominated.
that much?
Well, I mean, I enjoyed it a lot. I don't think it's a perfect movie, but I mean, just based on the craft alone, I think it deserves to be on the list of
We got to
nominated
talk
movies.
about this movie at some point.
We can talk about it now.
No, we can't.
I mean,
I don't care. I'm never. This is a movie I'll see on demand. I'm sorry. I gave up. I'm moving my chips to Revenant.
Paula still needs to watch it.
I'm moving my chips to Revenant.
The way that movie was shot, the acting in that movie, the soundtrack, the aesthetic, all of those things, like that alone, I think is a step above so many other movies that like it should be nominated.
So it's nominated in 3 categories. It's nominated. Jennifer Jason Leigh is nominated for Best Supporting Actress, which she did a ridiculously
Amazing
fun
job.
I would say fun job in that.
Yeah,
she
I
just
wasn't-
had great job with the character, but at no point did I ever feel like she was like really immersed in that character.
Yeah,
nor
it's
did I
fine.
feel
I
any of the
disagree with that.
characters
It's just
were.
like I don't want to spoil anything, but I totally disagree with that. There's things once, and Sean Finian brought this up to me. He's like, because he watched it twice, and he was like, on the second viewing of this movie, it's a much different movie where when you know all the characters' intentions, and you're like, oh shit, that's a really different way to look at it. And I'm like, I think that her acting, it goes from being fun to being really, really, really good. If
Interesting.
you think about it if you know her intentions from the end of the movie, watching from the beginning.
See, I felt like watching it that I thought all the characters are playing their roles a little tongue in cheek, and that
Yeah,
was
I
by
agree.
design. I think that,
And that's
and
great.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying like as a direct juxtaposition to like Django Unchained, where they were trying to really kind of have a little bit more well-rounded characters. I think that his approach to this was, hey, we're going to write the stereotypical like characters that you'd find in these ridiculous spaghetti westerns, and we're going to have fun with it, and we're going to turn it on its side a little bit, and it's going to be more like a stage play with a lot of humor imbued in it.
But I think there was so much subtle things that happened in that movie that were so awesome that I was impressed watching that movie, just watching it.
Right.
And like I was bored the first hour. Like I was like, I don't know if I love this movie. And even leaving it, I'm not like, this is the best thing ever, because Django is my favorite movie of all time. Period.
Yeah, it's a great film.
But watching this, I was constantly impressed by little things. Like every motion they did, there was like some reason to it. And again, don't want to spoil anything, but there's a part where the blocking, where they divide the room into two parts, and it's like that represents the north and the south, and the people that are on one side represent a different thing than the others. And there's times when they tell a story about, and I'm just making this up because I don't want to spoil anything.
Sure.
But they'll be telling a story of like, yeah, and then this guy went and attacked that guy, but then he did this and whatever, and then they reenact that in the blocking later. And like Samuel L. Jackson crosses the line, and they don't bring attention to it, but he goes and he's talking to these guys, and then does the exact same thing that they told in the story earlier. And I'm like, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth seeing just in general based on how fascinating and how a good a job they did of cutting up the space. Because it really is, if you think about it, aside from some of the exteriors and that first intro scene, your two main sets are the inn that they're at, and then the
stable
the stable's a little bit, but I would say more like the cart in the beginning is like, that's the first half hour where they're going back and forth, and then majority it's in one location. That's pretty much it on one set. So it's cool to see how he puts those characters around to keep it fresh, because generally speaking, if you have just a story that, like, if you ever see stage plays a lot, and this is why it's hard for me to consume stage plays, is that you're literally just watching characters exist and interact with each other in one setting, and you feel like it's kind of boring at first. And this was kind of boring at first until you and this shows kind of what a master craftsman all these guys are now, is that he lulls you into that boredom and then starts to sort of build that intrigue and then that humor, and then you start to like the characters even though you fucking hated them at first, and then you like, what's gonna happen then?
That's the thing, is like, I think the tongue-in-cheek stuff obviously was on purpose, and it's like, I think that all the characters represented something different. There's the French guy, there's the like the English guy.
I don't think he set out to make Django Unchained, and that's what I think is the distinction. Is I think that, and again, I don't know Quentin Tarantino, I haven't talked to him, man, in years.
You know Michael Madsen though.
I do know Michael Madsen. I have met Michael Madsen. I've met his family, been to barbecues at his house. I've worn his pants. I wore Michael Madsen's pants. But I don't.
You wore him as pants.
But you know what I mean? Like, I think he did this one for the sheer entertainment value of it, right? And so I'm not disappointed that it's not on the best picture list, because I don't think that's what it was all about. I think it was more of just like making this weird, strange, fun, like, play that as a movie, and in just enjoying the shit out of it, and shooting it in 70mm, which is fucking awesome to see. That wide of an aspect ratio, and how he used that was really, really fascinating too. So
I mean, I guess is it nominated for?
That's what I like about it. It's nominated for the two things that I thought were the strongest, which were, it's nominated for best original score, which is
my god, it was incredible.
Morricone, who has done scores since, I mean, forever. He did like a bunch of scores in the 80s. Amazing. This is actually apparently the first time he's not been nominated for anything. So if he wins the Academy Award, this will be the first one he ever won, supposedly. And Quentin Tarantino takes full credit for that.
He's up there with John Williams. You just don't know it.
You just don't know it. And then there's Robert Richardson is nominated for best cinematography for The Hateful Eight, and Robert Richardson's been around forever too. So that's cool to see.
So does that make you feel better, Tim? You were upset that it wasn't nominated. You don't think it's one. You said, I don't think it's the best movie ever, but it deserves to be nominated. It's nominated for the things you like,
and that's good. I still think that it did so many of those things right that it's like, personally, I think that it definitely deserves at least a nomination. I haven't seen most of those movies, so
just from a visual standpoint, running down the list, it's up against really stiff competition.
Mad Max
if Mad Max is in there, I say it deserves
John
to be there.
Seal for Mad Max and Emmanuel Lubezki for The Revenant, and The Revenant is going to win.
You think Revenant's going to win? Because I was just thinking about the spectacle that Mad Max is. I was like, because Mad Max was one of those things. Not that I know anything about cinema, because I fucking don't, but I like watching that movie and knowing it was all practical, whatever. I'm like, how the fuck did you even film this movie?
Yeah.
You know, like, I know it cost $200 million to make. It was an extremely expensive movie to make, but I watched that the whole time, and I walked out of there and I was like, I can't believe that movie even exists. Like, I don't know how you fucking film that shit. You have to, like, it's insane. It's like absolutely an insane movie to film all these stunt actors and these vehicles exploding and all. You can really, it's one of those things where I'm like, you can only get this right once, right? Like, you don't have another 5 of these cars, do you? Like, you can't possibly shoot this again, can you? Like, it seems like there was so much at stake when they were doing these big scenes. I haven't seen The Revenant, although The Revenant looks beautiful in the trailer. I was like, the spectacle's insane. Like, how could Mad Max not win that?
It's against Revenant, Sicario, and Carol was shot, I believe, on 16mm, which is
It's pronounced Carl.
If you watch Colin Moriarty. But I want to say real quick, if you don't mind, just about Hateful Eight before we move on, is that I think it was beautiful. I think the acting was good. I think the acting was tongue in cheek. That's what I took away from it too. Like the acting, I don't think like it was ridiculous in a way, and I thought that was like kind of the idea. That was kind of the idea.
Yeah.
But I think they nailed it, which is good acting.
They definitely did.
But the one thing we didn't talk about is that the story sucks, and like that's like one of the things that like there's a major hangups in that story where I'm like I cannot get over this. Like almost immediately, I'm like the whole story is predicated on nonsense.
Yeah,
the whole story is nonsense, and I don't want to like get into why that is because I don't want to spoil it for anyone either. But that was the thing I was hanging up. I'm like, I don't care how it looks and how the acting is and all this kind of stuff. When this shouldn't have ever happened. Like that was like what it was on my mind. I'm like, this should have never happened. This doesn't make any sense. And the more the movie went on, I'm like, this movie gets worse and worse. Like towards the end, I actually liked the way it began because it began slow and plotting, which I thought was intentional. I liked it. I'm like, they're developing the characters, they find the inn, all this kind of stuff. And the more it goes, like after the intermission, I'm like, Jesus Christ. And the two people, I thought I was crazy because when I walked out of there, I was with Nate and Angie, and I was like, so you guys must have loved it or whatever. And they're like, no. I was like, okay. And I was like, that's so funny because I'm like, I feel the same exact way, and I feel crazy because Django is so fucking good. In every way, that movie is spectacular. I couldn't believe how good that movie was. I always talk about how I saw that, Gone Girl, and Wolf of Wall Street back to back in like 3 days, and I'm like, I don't think I'll ever watch 3 movies that are better than those 3 movies. Like you're not, just clumped together.
Yeah.
And so Django always held a special place with me, even though I only saw once because I was riveted by it. I was like, this is fantastic. Jamie Foxx is fantastic. Leonardo DiCaprio, fantastic. You know. And I watched this movie and I'm like, I don't think it's bad. It's the same way I feel about Martian. I'm like, this isn't a bad movie. You should see it. You might have a different interpretation of it. You might love it. I know a lot of people that do love it. But to me, I walked out of there and I was like, I couldn't get over the story. I don't want to say any more than that. And without that fundamental keystone of film, it just everything else fell apart for me because it shouldn't have happened. That's what I kept saying to myself. I'm like, this situation is totally unnecessary. That's what I kept saying the whole time.
To me, it's a Tarantino film, right? And that's a loaded thing to say because with that, you assume that he's going to be, assume that his goal is to be nominated or to make something that's like the cool fucking indie movie that is not really an indie movie, but it is kind of, and everyone saw it, and it's going to be like revolution. It's basically, you assume it's going to be Pulp Fiction every single time. Where Pulp Fiction came out and everyone was like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't know you could do that. That's not legal. Is that legal? Like, is that how you can tell a story? I didn't realize you could do that, right? And it blew everyone's fucking mind apart of like how you actually edit and tell a story in a film. And so he's held to that standard constantly, but give the guy a break. Hateful Eight, fun movie. Leave it at that. It doesn't need to be any more, right? Beautifully shot by Robert Richardson. To get a nod like that is awesome, but I don't think he'll win. He's up against stiff competition, specifically with The Revenant. So we'll see.
We shall see. When the Academy Awards happen on?
No idea.
It's his Super Bowl and he has no idea.
I can't remember what weekend on. They're in February.